Hey y'all, it's Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. Today, this evening, I should say, it is evening, I'm going to be chatting about some of my favorite Christmas books. So, let's get started, guys. I have a cup of eggnog that I'm drinking on. I just finished filming another video, and so I'm going to try to go ahead and get this one done as well. I just wanted to do a quick video talking about some of my favorite Christmas reads. As I was looking through these, I feel like most of these are books that I have read over the past couple of years. I know growing up, I loved Christmas. I loved listening to Christmas music and watching Christmas movies, but I can't really recall any particular Christmas books that really stuck out to me. You know, I try to think back on, were there any books that I really enjoyed reading, Christmas books? So for me, a lot of these are books that I've just really enjoyed over the past few years. Now, I know I read Christmas, like growing up, I read the American Girl series, and they had Christmas stories in them, which I always enjoyed those. And then there were just a lot of the middle grade books I read, of course, there were some of them that had Christmas stories. But anyway, we're going to talk about these, and a lot of these, like I said, I've read over the past few years. So the first book we're going to talk about is not necessarily a Christmas book, but it's definitely got the Christmas vibes to me, and I highly recommend reading it this time of year. And that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read this, actually started it last Christmas and finished it in January. So it's been almost a year since I've read this, and I loved this book so much. It feels like really just a great, perfect read for Christmas, because it does open up at Christmas time. I believe when it opens up, it's Christmas time. And I love Marmee, and as they do life, her and her four daughters, as the four daughters are growing up and they're trying to figure out how to do life right now with their father going away in the Civil War. And it's just, there's so many great like biblical truths that I gleaned from this, and so many, I want to go back and reread it, and there's so many spots that I want to highlight. I didn't highlight the first time I read it, so this is one that I would definitely recommend. This is a Christian fiction book, The Mistletoe Countess by Pepper Basham. I know you've probably heard this book talked about if you're on the Christian community of BookTube, you've probably heard this book talked about. I love this book so much. Like, I know a lot of people that read it say it don't really, to them, it doesn't have Christmas vibes. But for me, it feels like just a great Christmas book. And I think it's because it's set, like, I think it's set it opens up in Virginia, and it's like snowing. And I can just, from reading the book, I can just picture in my mind. I know this book is not set at Biltmore House, but that's what I picture. I picture like that atmosphere at Christmas time, the Biltmore House. I know Pepper has written some books set there, and this one's not, but that's still what I see in my head. I see like that, the Christmas vibes. And so yeah, there's a Christmas theme more towards the end, I think, but it just has the feels of a good Christmas read to me, because it's a mystery. It has like a mystery flowing through it, and it's winter time, and it's cozy. There's like lots of book references, and a library, and a huge mansion estate. And so I feel like for me, even though it may not necessarily like constantly be talking about Christmas, just the overall feel of the book is Christmassy to me. So that's why I love this book. It is about Grace, who ends up becoming a bride in place of her sister, and it's a marriage of convenience, and she is quickly whisked away to England, and there develops this mystery. And Grace is definitely a very unique character. I think she takes getting used to for some people, but she's just very naive and young, and comes at life with such optimism and hope. And she loves to read, and she has a big imagination. And all of this bleeds over into her everyday life. And so there is a mystery element to it, and there's the whole aspect of her and Frederick and their relationship and how they're trying to work together now that they are married. And they don't, I love that in this story they don't like fight against this union. They both go into it like willing to work together and do the best to make this marriage work for both of their families. This is fun. It's the first one in the series, and Pepper is still writing the series. It's like kind of like a mystery series, so yeah. But this one is definitely the more Christmassy one, and I love it. Next is a book by Terri Blackstock, Catching Christmas. I actually read this one several years ago and loved it so much. It definitely made me cry. It's more of an emotional Christmas read. It is like a short story hardback book, but it was so beautiful. I loved it. So it's kind of about this, I can't remember everything about it, so I'm going to try to look at the back. So there's this woman named Sydney, and she's trying to get like a promotion, I think. And her grandmother becomes ill, and her grandmother has been like asking this cab driver to drive her places before Christmas. Like she's trying to get her Christmas stuff finished, and the cab driver is kind of annoyed. He's like, why isn't her granddaughter taking care of her, kind of thing. And him and the granddaughter end up meeting up, and then the grandmother is like, she's trying to kind of sort out some things. She has dementia, and she's trying to like just prepare some things over the next few months, prepare some things before Christmas, trying to get things ready. And it's kind of just the story of the grandma and the cab driver and her granddaughter and their lives being brought together during the Christmas season. It's sweet. It has a little romance. It's tender. Definitely, I think it would be a little bit of a tougher read if you have lost someone during this season, especially like a recent loss, or maybe if you're dealing with someone with dementia. I think it might be a more difficult read, but it was very heartwarming and beautiful, and I loved it, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I need to reread it because it was so good. Next, A Christmas Carol, which I actually just did a video talking about this book. I just finished rereading it, loved it. Quintessential Christmas story. I think everyone should read it. I think it's a book that a story that you could read year after year after year and really just I think it's just a good story to read this time of year, to just let the meaning of it sink into your heart and help me and help us and as readers to really just remember what's important during this season and not get too focused on what we don't have, and not too focused on all of the struggles, but instead rejoice and slow down and just appreciate this season. So yes, Christmas Carol I think is a must read, one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time. And now we have another book that I recently finished. This is a contemporary clean fiction, One Foggy Christmas by Kourtney Keisel. Loved this book, y'all. Love, love, love. 5 stars. Amazing book. I've talked about it on here before, and I'm going to talk about it again. If you enjoy contemporary romance set at Christmas, it's great. It's a heavier Christmas romance. It deals with grief and loss and the loss of a loved one, and it just kind of, there's some parts that shredded my heart, but Kourtney put it back together. She put it back together before it was over. So I just loved it. I love it. I love her writing style, the banter, the wit, the funny moments, and then like you might be crying one minute and then laughing the next. But so I'm just going to read y'all the back right fast. So it says, Nash Carter is devastated when a skiing accident leaves his wife with severe memory loss, erasing him and their 3-year marriage from her mind. Not only is Nash a stranger, but Sadie remembers being in love with her ex-boyfriend and can't understand how she ended up living in a new city, estranged from her family and married to a man she doesn't know. It's up to Nash to win back his wife and prove that their love is worth fighting for. Can Nash's unwavering devotion help Sadie rebuild what was lost, or will he lose her love forever? Like I said, it is a beautiful story, just precious. There are themes about grief and loss, and I cried reading this. It's a precious story. I highly recommend it. I can't wait to read it again. I hope maybe next year I want to read it again. It's a great story. And then I'm going to do 2 honorable mentions. These are books that are not necessarily Christmas, but I think are great to read at Christmas. This is one that I actually did read as a kid, and that's Little House in the Big Woods. I love Laura's descriptions of Christmas in here. I love, even, she has more in some of her other books. She talks about Christmas as well. But I just love them in here, how she talks about what she got for Christmas. And this one, a lot of it takes place in winter, so it feels very Christmassy anyway. But I love, it's like the chapter on Christmas. Christmas was coming. The little log house was almost buried in snow. Great drifts were banked against the walls and windows, and in the morning when Pa opened the door, there was a wall of snow as high as Laura's head. And I just love how her descriptions of the things that they, like Pa, what he made at Christmas, and how they made the molasses candy, and how they prepared for Christmas, and their cousins and family came to visit them. And she talks about like what they got for Christmas. She's like, they did their stocking, and Laura got some red mittens, a piece of peppermint candy, a little doll, a rag doll. I don't know, I just feel like it's just Christmassy. She talks about the food they ate and all of this stuff, and I just think it's such a great book to read at Christmas. Great. And then I think The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, while not necessarily Christmas book, it feels more Christmassy because of Narnia being like a winter there, and I don't know, I just feel like there's something about this that feels Christmassy, and also just the overall story. I need to reread it. But the overall story points to Christ. There's, like, reading this story, there's just so much biblical allusion that really point to Christ, and it's like, I think another good book that would point you to Christ during the Christmas season and keep your focus on Jesus and on what this season is truly about. So there you go, guys. A brief introduction to a few books that I think are great to read during this holiday season, and some of my favorites that I enjoy reading. And so I just hope y'all are reading some great stuff during this season. I have quite a few more books that I want to get to, so hopefully next year I'll have even more Christmas books that I can share with you guys. But anyway, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.